Hey everybody, welcome to another devotion. I hope you enjoyed the devotion yesterday with Izzy. I hate to admit it, but he's not joining us today, but maybe at a later date, him or one of his neighbors will join us in another devotion. But today I want to share a little bit about my walk with Madison this morning and something that I noticed and something I was anticipating as I was going to walk Madison. Usually, when I walk or I go to the end of my street where there's a path that leads in two ways. One takes me back to this park, the other way takes me back through the back way to Barrington High School. And usually in the morning when I walk or I go towards the park and walk along this creek. And I was assuming that this creek would be a lot higher than on Monday, the last time I walked her, because of all the rain we've gotten in the past week and a half. And it what didn't shock me when I saw the water, because I was anticipating maybe when I got closer to the bridge and the sidewalk underneath the bridge that maybe someone would be going up onto the sidewalk there. And I was like, anticipating that. I was like, I won't go through the bridge, under the bridge there, but I'll turn back around and go the other way back to the high school there. And that's usually a good way to tell how much rain or how much water we got. And to my surprise, I couldn't even get to the bridge because the water is already overflowing prior to the bridge. I have a picture of it here where you can see the water up there along the path and a lot higher than it was on Monday when I walked her. I didn't anticipate it to be that high, but it just shows the amount of rain that we had. And as I think about that, I turn to Isaiah chapter 43, verse 2, part A there, where it says, "When you pass through the waters, I will be with you, and through the rivers, they shall not overwhelm you." Thinking about that idea of the waters, started thinking about the coronavirus and all that we see going on with that, where, before this, a few months ago, before all this really went into place, the shelter in place, and all the other stuff, all the different restrictions and guidelines we've seen, is kind of confined, and it wasn't something we were worried about. Last year at this time, we would have never been thinking of this thing called coronavirus. So it's kind of being contained, not something to be afraid of, not a threat or something to endanger, not overflowing into our life. Kind of like that creek on Monday where it was low and it wasn't an issue. But now here today, that creek was an issue. Not that it was dangerous. Didn't feel like walking through it to get all my shoes all wet or anything, but it was still, difference and different things. And when you think about the coronavirus, here we see it overflowing into our life. Maybe that not that we've been personally diagnosed with the coronavirus, but we see the effects of how it played in our life, the struggles that it causes us. And it is a stressful time for us. And we feel like, man, I just want to go back to normal and not have these waters where they feel like they're overtaking me. But as we pass through this water of the coronavirus, this pandemic that we see, God reminds us He will be with us. We are not alone as we pass through this waters of the coronavirus as it comes into our life. And he goes on the Isaiah to write, "And though the rivers, they shall not overwhelm you." Yes, I know the creek was not a river, but it overwhelmed the road, not the road, but the path there. Just as maybe you're feeling overwhelmed by the coronavirus and all that it's causing in our lives. We have our everyday struggles, the things that we normally go through, that we'd be going through right now, even if it wasn't for the coronavirus. But then you add that on top of it, and it makes it even worse, where we're even more overwhelmed than what we normally would be. And it does cause a lot of stress and worry. But here, God once again reminds us the rivers, they shall not overwhelm you. And He's saying that to us right now, that the coronavirus will not overwhelm us. We can trust in Him, just as the Israelites trusted in Him when they made that exile, that exodus from Pharaoh. There, God did not let any disaster or obstacle destroy them. He allowed them to cross the Red Sea during this exodus. He allowed them to cross the Jordan River into the Promised Land. God wasn't letting those things overwhelm them. Just as He's not going to let this overwhelm us, and He is here with us right now. Thank you, and God bless.